Last week I learned how important follow through is when reconnecting.
I probably should have day traded my GameStop.
I'm not the friend that's like that, you know what I mean?
A winter like this is something I have never experienced before.
Okay guys, welcome to another Monday here at Straight Shot Post. I hope you guys had a wonderful week and weekend last week. It is snowing today, beautiful outside, but I'm glad to be inside nice and warm. And I'll kick things off this week with what I've learned considering I missed last week. The first one is something I learned about workouts, and I'm wondering if it can be applied. Well, you guys know I talk about workouts all the time, but I wonder if it can be applied to general work. So the idea, it's called periodization. Basically last week, so I've been pushing myself really hard, doing a push-pull-leg split, and it's really sort of strength focused, and it's more than I've ever done, and it's kind of been kicking my butt. What's happening is, even though there's like enough rest between my push days, which would be Monday and Thursday, the sort of week's fatigue starts to accumulate. And last week I had a really poor workout on Thursday. Like I regressed, which is unusual. And I was then had to do research like, yo, what is going on? And a lot of weightlifters, power lifters especially, they end up doing something called the deload week. And it's an interesting thing. Basically, your body, there's a curve. So like your body's chilling, right? And then when you work out, your body like loses energy. And then when it rests, it comes back, right? And then you work out and you get tired, you can't lift anymore, and it comes back. And but the cumulative fatigue will build up over time. So most people take between after 4 and 6 weeks of like heavy workouts, they'll take a deload week, and they'll basically either won't work out or they'll do half the reps or half the sets. Now what ends up happening is a phenomenon called supercompensation, which essentially your body's like this, it works out, comes back, it works out, comes back. But during the deload week, it kind of goes like this because it kind of rubber bands. That's what happens. So then the following week you come back and you have like even more strength. So you're kind of gaining while not even working out, which is a really interesting thing that I was like, damn, man. And we're saying like, you're kind of going to know when you need a deload week, like when you totally plateau or when you regress or when you're just really feeling tired, then you're kind of wiped. So this week I decided not to do it because I wanted to feel out my body and see what was happening and maybe adjust my Thursday and Friday workouts. But for sure, I'm going to take that deload week after at least 6 weeks. And it made me think like maybe there's a way to apply that to other things. Like if you're really, really, really focusing on a particular skill that you know, like you're cramming for a test, and then after you take it, you chill. I don't know if you guys like back in high school, it was always like that. And then you took your week or 2 weeks off and you kind of came back stronger and were like more energized. I'm wondering if there's something to that about having what's called, they have, and it's broken out, like there's like a macro cycle, mesocycle, and a microcycle or something in these, like, so it's like the idea is you have your big workouts program, which could be 6 months or whatever. I'm usually on like 12-week cycles, and then within that you have your 4-week cycles, and then within that you have your days, right? And I'm wondering if there's a way to apply that to just learning like kind of any skill so you don't end up burning out, I guess. I don't know if that's really the phrase or the word, but there might be something to say about going like in 4 or 6 week periods, and you kind of build up in intensity throughout that, right? So that 4th, 5th, 6th week, you're like all mother effing in. More hours, more energy, more time. And then you take your break. Cut it all in half, cut your hours in half, recharge, and then pick it up. But when you're picking it up from maybe where you left off 2 weeks ago, not at the beginning of the cycle, right? So you're kind of rubber banding and constantly sort of getting stronger over time. I thought that was something super interesting that I learned about this week. And then the other thing is more something that we talk about, and I was watching a video, you know, some entrepreneurial videos and podcasts, and I'm doing 2 because I missed one. But there's this guy, Cal Newport, who's like another productivity guy, and he wrote this book called Be So Good what is it called? So good they can't ignore you. And I was like, hey, I believe I have said that 1,000 times, where it's like, you just have to be so damn good that they can't say anything. That's what I say, right? That like nobody can say anything. So what his key concept is something that I also talk about. See, I love when I have like now some tangible stuff. So I'm gonna actually post this link in the chat. But I'm curious if anyone here. Let me post this for you guys. So he said it's a mindset shift is what he talks about. And basically part of the book is talking about how to be happy at work, essentially, actually is what it's about. And he talks about how there's this giant misconception of people saying you need to like find your passion and then do that. And there's a giant survey that was done where it's like 50% of the people found their passion first, and then the other 50% of the people started working first and then like fell in love with it. So he kind of is trying to like denounce this idea that you need to find your passion to like love what you do. And he talks about the 3 things that you need in order to feel fulfilled at work, which is some semblance of having some creativity, like some freedom to sort of do what you think is best, some sense of control over what you're doing, sort of like how you're doing it, when you're doing it, and then the idea that you're having impact in some way, whether it's on the people around you or for the company itself. And so the way that he recommends that you do that is a shift from this passion mindset to my favorite, a craftsman mindset, which is exactly my shit that I've been saying here, where I'm like, if you fall in love with the process, then you're going to be fine. Don't think about the results. And the passion mindset's all about like, I'm going to do, I guess, I don't even know. You could watch the video. But I really, really loved reading it because it talks a lot about the shift from what can the world do for me? Like, how do I get what I want? I want to be a director or a writer or whatever. And the shift from that to what can I offer to the world with my craft, right? And how do I get better at this thing every day? And we talk about that so much. And this guy's like a super smart MIT guy, so I was like, yeah, good. Now I have some like actual data to sort of back up the things that I talk about. But I freaking loved hearing about this sort of book of his, and thought it was something super interesting that you guys might want to take. This is like a guy who does those sort of Cliff Notes things, so he like sums up the core ideas of the book in like 8 minutes. So it was just really cool to see how he took those ideas and really put it into like a really nice argument, towards it. So yeah, it was a really, really cool thing I learned this weekend. All right, let's keep it going. John Roberts, what did you learn last week?
So I've talked about reconnecting with people before. Last week I learned how important follow through is when reconnecting, especially because it's easier to reconnect than a lot of people think. It just takes that first step, which is follow through. And people that I haven't seen or talked to in close to 11 months now, I reconnected with last week. And I had a conversation with one for over an hour. I had a conversation with another one over the course of a day. And I'm in the middle of scheduling time to speak with another person, this coming week. And it's easier than you think. You just need to take that first step.
What have you gained from these experiences?
It's a weird feeling. Like we're all going to work through this remote platform. So this feeling of isolation has been very real for the last 11 months. And when you're reconnecting with people, even if it is through a screen or through a phone, you don't feel as isolated anymore. And that's really, it's healthy to, reconnect with people.
I totally respect that, man. And so do you think this is something that you're going to try to keep up with?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I have plenty of people that I still haven't hit up yet. So absolutely.
Well, man, I really respect that. Personally, I'm not the best. I'm not the friend that's like that. You know what I mean? But I'm the friend that if you saw me after 5 years, it's like yesterday. or I'm the friend that, will always be here to give you sort of the honest truth. So it's certainly an interesting thing. And I found there are other ways of staying connected. A big one for me is I play League of Legends. My brother's on almost every night. My best friend's kind of almost on every night. And so I do think that this pandemic has taught us that there are many ways: text, call, video chat, voice chat. There's so many different ways to connect that if you want to. I thought that was also something interesting, right? Where it's kind of about figuring out where you do want to put your time to people that actually, matter. I'll also add one thing that John kind of touched on, which I've learned in the past year. Persistence is an extremely undervalued value. I am not that kind of person, I value my time. I value other people's time. But there's so much going on and so much distraction, I think, that I can tell you for a fact being incredibly persistent has its benefits. You think it would annoy people or something? It kind of, I'm just telling you from my experience, it really doesn't. They're just oh, that's right, you're there. Oh yes, that's right, I forgot about this thing. So interesting. I prefer that it wouldn't be that way. I prefer that people would just sort of respond and connect, but it's not really. It just hasn't proven to be what's going on. It hasn't proven to be reality. So it's just an interesting takeaway of saying you gotta stay with it and you gotta follow up if you really want something to happen.
I hear that friendship is like a conversation that never ends.
Well, I certainly hear that too. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Sophie, what did you learn last week?
So for the people that aren't in this room that I guess will eventually see this, I'm a photographer. And I love my cameras. And I very specifically, even though it might not be the most economic habit, I love shooting film. And for my birthday, I got 2 new cameras. I got 120 millimeter and I got a Rolleiflex.
Hold up, you have the out of focus background on?
Oh yeah. Oh, is it messing with you?
Well, it's just your camera's blurry. Your face isn't blurry though.
Okay, I'll change my back. Oh, well, my face. I'll unblur.
There you go. See, so now there you go. Camera's now sharp.
Okay,
nice.
Cool.
Nice.
So this is my Rolleiflex, and I've had it since my birthday, but my aunt is a photographer, and so then she and I called this past weekend so she could kind of explain it to me. So overall, I learned how to use a Rolleiflex, which is so cool. And I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but I'm trying to show you anyways. It's like an apparition, the way that you look at it. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. So I mean, you're really just gonna
it's old school, but there's a mirror, right?
Yeah, it's you're not gonna be able to get it, but it's just an apparition appears, and the light that's literally coming through the camera is appearing through the lenses over the mirror, shooting up at the screen, and it's reverse. Yeah,
that's old school, baby.
Old school. And it has all these little gadgets and things, and I love it. So yeah, I learned how to use my Rolleiflex.
That's exciting. Is it's you can put it's 35 millimeter, you can put any kind of film in it, or
120 millimeter.
120, large format.
Large format. This is it's like a square.
Interesting. Super interesting. Well, that's fun.
Yeah, it's super cool. I have Portra 400 in right now.
You just like my homies. My homie Josh Fisher is a huge, does a lot of film photography for fun too. He's a cinematographer. Super, yeah, he's the man. But yeah, that's awesome, man. Are you going to go out and take some shots today?
I think I gotta, probably during lunch. I took a photo. I didn't think about it ahead of time, but it's fortunate. Last night, right at dusk is when the snow, at least near me, really started to fall. and I can see the Empire State Building, and the Empire, it doesn't like it. The lights don't come on until the night, but at every hour it twinkles, and it was dusk and it was light, and then it started twinkling, and the snow was falling really light, and so then I took a picture, and that was like before everything was covered, and then I took another picture this morning now that everything is covered, so it's a nice little bookend. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing. Jaden, what did you learn last week?
I probably should have day traded my GameStop. So, just to recap, if anyone is unaware, GameStop has, been struggling financially for the past few years, especially in the age of like COVID, online purchasing, shopping and stuff. So it's overall, I think stock price was like $45 as of like 2 weeks ago. And then, as a result of that, hedge funds such as like, I think Melvin Capital and a bunch of others, again, short selling, which is betting against, the rise in the value of GameStop, of, recuperating. So, after that, what was it? A bunch of subreddits such as Wall Street Bets began piling in to increase the share price of GameStop, which caused all these hedge funds to lose a bunch of capital and investments in the overall company. So, I just basically learned, as, Dale and Amaris, stated, that this is all, just like a fragile economy, like anything can happen. And, you can just, use the situation to learn about your individual power and what you could contribute, in the stock market.
I mean, there's a huge reason why Elon Musk, can't say anything anymore. So for example, he put Bitcoin on his Twitter. Just a little icon. What do you think happens when somebody like that does that? Or I think he put a little Dogecoin thing. He tweeted just like the Dogecoin thing or something. It is the power of influence like that. So that's why, by the way, there was a huge issue when he went on Joe Rogan and smoked weed. He actually is no longer on the board of his own company or something because of that, of Tesla. And it's basically the board members are like, dude, if you do that, that has a massive influence on our stock prices. They go up or they go down. Tesla's a perfect example of a company who hasn't made money yet. Okay. They've never profited and have a very high stock price. Okay. So the people it has a high stock price because people value it very highly because they think it's going to be extremely profitable in the future. But it's all clearly based on people. Does anybody here curious? Why are sports cards blowing up right now? Why are Pokemon cards huge right now? I have a friend who's investing thousands in it. It's hilarious. And then I'm like, oh, that's right. Jake Paul made a 30 million hit video where he bought a shitload and got really into Pokemon cards. But he's not an idiot. He knows with his audience, if he does that, what do you think happens? A lot of people are going to get into it, and he artificially drives up the price of it. It's people, guys. It's crazy what you can do when like that. It's not, he's super smart, don't get me wrong. He bought boxes and boxes, ripped 4 Charizards, puts the videos out, price of Charizards go up, and he could sell that shit for thousands of dollars of profit. It's hilarious. Why? Just because. It really actually, it goes to show you the power of brand, having an audience, things that are timeless, like Nike and shit. Don't really matter what's going on. If you're married to Nike the brand, you're married to Nike the brand. I'm sure we all have that. See, but that's where it's they just missed opportunity, in my opinion. They could have. So this is sort of where that mentality of what do we sell here? We don't sell a good video for a reason, because that shit does not last. What a good video is changes over time because it's based on what people think. But if you get really, really good at telling stories, you could just adapt to whatever kind of stories you need to tell. Oh shit, Instagram Reels are hot. Let's figure out how to tell Instagram Reels. Oh my God, the podcast is popping off. Time to change. Learn how to do podcasts, right? Because the fundamentals of storytelling don't change, but the mediums will. Clubhouse being a thing. I was watching some videos on that. where I was like, damn, is this something I need to look into? And I'm a voice guy, so like maybe it is something I need to look into, right? Still communication, still storytelling as like a fundamental skill set. So like, again, craftsmanship process over results, because stuff like what is happening is kind of all bullshit and volatile, right? Like Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin goes down. No one's going to know when it's going to happen. I would never, like, it's a high risk strategy. That's all I'm saying. The stuff you know will work is like, you know, this kind of stuff. This will work. People need editing services. We will provide them and provide them with a powerful feeling, you know, of thoughtfulness and of clear communication. We will always have a place if our brand is strong enough and our values are clear. That is my firm belief. But if you want to play around, go ahead, bro. Get into that Dogecoin. Goes up, it goes down. Some people are going to be super pumped. Some people are going to not be. I think I would do it for fun, you know? Thank you so much, Jaden, for sharing. I appreciate it. I think this is a fun one. Patrick, what did you learn last week?
Okay, well, I was going to say that, but I will not anymore. And I realized a lesson that I learned was, honestly, first impressions, like, matter. So, I don't even remember this. That's how, like, far back it was. Actually, it was like 3 years ago, so I probably should remember it. But when I was learning how to color grade, I badly graded somebody's film. Messed up on it. I remember it very clearly. But somehow one of their friends gave me another shot like a year after, and I knew more about it. I had like taken more classes and shit, and I did like, they were very happy with it the second time around. So I was like happy, I was like nice, progress is being made. And then forgot all about them, forgot like her name because she never contacted me again. And then yesterday, a random person was like, hey, like all this time ago, you like worked with Jessica and did this for her. And I may have like a project upcoming that like I was wondering if you could help me out on. I don't remember Jessica. I remember messing up on one of Jessica's friends' projects, but I don't remember Jessica. So I was like, oh yeah, like I definitely remember that. Like hit me up when it's like ready and you're ready to talk about it. And he was like, sure, like let's hop on a call like this week later. And I was like, okay. And I've just made up that I remember it because I have no idea. But I just realized that they remembered me because I did something right. I don't know what I did right when I was working with them, but clearly I did something memorable. And it was the first moment where I was like, wow, people really keep those moments in their brain, and they're very useful when you don't expect it. They can come out of the blue.
Man, the total theme of this episode's got to be people, huh? It's all about people. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this and drill it into your young, precious minds that this is the game. Pat.
Yep.
One thing I would recommend as a tip is to just be honest next time. Say, listen, I so much appreciate this. You know, I do remember working for Jessica's friend years ago, yada, yada, yada. And I only say that because I kind of did that once and it totally has gotten me into trouble. But and so I don't recommend doing that again, just sort of looking at our core values here. But outside of that, I think that for sure, the reason why my entire career changed was for that reason. I did a short film for this guy, Alex Forsenhauser. Shout out to Alex. Hey, wow, look. Hey, what's up, Jake? Thanks for joining.
Sorry.
It's all good, brother. So I meant that genuinely. I didn't mean that as like in some sort of sarcastic way. I genuinely meant that. Thank you for being here.
No, that's just how I respond to everything.
Oh. So the homeboy, I did this short for Alex Forsenhauser. 3 years later, a friend of his that he met after some time in those 3 years, Shelby Bartlestein, calls me. Bang, that's how I got Vayner. This YouTube shit, I'm getting hit up by people. I did this YouTube job like 5 years ago. Somehow I'm on a list. They've been hitting me up. Happens. Random things. I don't know. This is why you got to treat your D work like A work. You got to bring the same game every single time, the same energy, the same passion. I guarantee you, It was the feeling that you gave her about this piece that you worked on, that she felt that she got something more than what she expected, and she remembered that.
Yeah.
It's a
Yep.
feeling. That is what you deliver, guys. You need to make people feel safe, good, passionate, excited, whatever it is. You know, that's what we do. And we talk a lot like about what we want people. Our feeling is we want to give them peace of mind. That's what we're trying to do. That they know we gave it our all, and that their piece is as clear or as strong as it could be. So it's great. It's great to hear, Pat, because it's good that you guys start hearing this stuff now, because at your age is when you're making, they say networking is like planting seeds, guys. You don't know, it can grow. It's going to grow over time, but you don't know when it's going to pop up. Could be 1 year,
Yeah.
3 years, 5 years. You just got to bring your all every time.
This is the first moment I like truly understood that saying. You know,
Yeah.
it's the difference when you hear something and you feel it. This is the first moment I was like, okay.
Yeah,
That's
and
what-
that's how it goes.
starting to work.
I mean, I've said it. You got to just put the work in, and be so good they can't ignore you, right? Okay, thank you so much, Pat, for sharing. Lissa, what did you learn last week?
This is like unrelated to everything everyone said so far.
Great.
But I learned that I'm allergic to the cold. Like if I go out and it's like too cold, or I've like been in there for too long, I start getting like hives.
What?
Yeah, it's been a recent thing. Like it hasn't happened like before, so.
It's not the clothes that you're wearing in the cold weather?
No.
I
Like
want you to
when-
know this is an interesting thing. What is your nationality?
I'm Greek and Chinese.
Do you think it's something in it's got to be genetic, right?
I think I was reading about it, and like I don't know, like I think it can come like at random times. Like I've been like in the cold before, like I've been in New York for like I don't know, like 2-3 years, and it's never happened, like and it's only happened now, so I think it's like some like maybe like an age thing too, like
Possibly.
I don't know.
Check your diet
It's-
too. I would definitely check your diet. Make sure that you're getting enough of everything you need, and make sure you're hydrated too. Those are the two things I would immediately go to. And then obviously move your body, but we talk about that all the time. You move it or you lose it.
Yeah.
And clearly, and Avi's not here, but everybody's been going through weird shit during the pandemic. He's like, I hurt my back. You guys are fucking 22 or something. Come on, you know? You're killing me with this, you know what I mean? So I want you guys to take care of yourself. We sit in a chair every day. This is just a good reminder of that. I do think I would love it. I want to know. I've never heard of something like that, but I mean, there's definitely conditions related. You could be developing an actual skin condition too that you're going to want to make sure you... Preventative care is always best, right? So, well then stay inside, stay warm, you know?
Especially now.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing. Catherine, what did you learn last week?
Hey, well, my topics are going to both be on games and weather. So just tie it all back together. This week I learned how to play 2 new board games. My boyfriend and I are super into it. We have like a giant collection in our living room. And one of the ones we learned this week, and Sophie brought out her camera, so she made me want to show and tell too. This one is called Mariposa, which is Spanish for butterflies. And it's all about the migration patterns of the monarch butterfly over the course of 3 seasons, fall, spring, and summer. Obviously not winter, because in the winter, they all die. And I mentioned earlier, but for all our fans, I despise winter, and there's a giant blizzard going on right now. And it's just really interesting to see like the lifespan, and it just looks beautiful. It's super engaging, and another like way to be creative, which leads into the next game I learned, which is called Wavelength. This is a great game, like party game. not that we're having many parties, but even amongst a four-person group, it was a hoot and a holler. Because what you do is there's kind of like a scale, and each person has like a different topic. So one topic that I had was pizza toppings, and it's like good pizza toppings, bad pizza toppings, and then there's like a rotating arrow, and it lands randomly, and then you have to kind of give a suggestion as the clue giver of like a kind of topping that is more toward either side. So like one person, like we said, like cheese is a great topping for pizza. It's not the best. It kind of always comes with the pizza, and it's more subjective. But it's like, where does that lie? And another clue I gave was weather for funny topic, serious topic. And it lands, where would you guys put weather for a funny topic versus a serious topic?
Serious for me.
Like
Well-
right in the middle.
So you are correct. It is the most bland of topics.
Well,
It is-
I guess what do you mean for conversation?
well,
Like
well,
what is the metric here? Like good or bad in terms of what?
no, not good or bad. Serious topics versus funny topics. That was this card's clue. And it depends on if like
I
if
see.
I said blizzard or hurricane, like those are more serious.
I understand.
But everyday weather is just like, it's just like a go-to. Like what do you say? And it's the perfect middle. So this game makes you have to be creative in the answers that you give, because you can steer your guessers in any direction.
How do you win?
You can either play against the board, like all together, and you try to earn 16. And it's, if you get close, if you get a perfect score, it's a 4. If you get close enough, there's like a scale of 3 or 2. So you get points like that. Or you can just be in 2 separate teams, and then whoever gets to, I guess you can choose a number, like 16 first wins.
And what's the like? How would you know it's a 4? Like, does it say on the card like weather equals?
There's a, on the scale, it'll show. I mean,
I just I love games, but I could tell I'd like enjoy this game once or twice, and then I might not be able to deal with it.
see, so if I'm like weather, you're like, okay, right here. Then we'll see like, okay, is the guess right or wrong? Oh my god, perfect. You get 4 points.
Interesting. I see it.
Yeah. Well, no, the good thing about this game is that you can play several times, because you're always giving a different answer of what the topic could be, or like where you think something would land.
Interesting. Any last thoughts here before I move on?
Yes. One last thing about winter. I realized that even if it wasn't COVID times, from the months of January to March, I would be inside anyway. So at least for the next 3 months, it's going to feel kind of normal.
Okay, that's true. I actually feel the same way. I'm like, this is the best winter ever because I don't have to go to work out there.
I get to just enjoy the snow from my window.
Yeah. And I've done it. I actually remember going to Viacom on Hudson in the middle of a blizzard just like this, only from, maybe it was from Astoria, but maybe it was from Long Island at the time, because I think it was over the break, the holiday break. I think it was like the 27th, 28th, and 29th. And then they sent me home at noon, and I was like, wow, okay. So anyways, glad we don't have to do that. And also, like, the best part about our whole system, this is a total like a company thing, like the fact that we have Parsec on days like today, y'all are just going to remote in and work. And most the editors would have to come in normally, but like this is a perfect example of like why it's so awesome, until the internet goes down, but we're good for now. Okay, let's take it home. Jake, please take us home. What did you learn last week?
Alright, so what did I learn? So, if you don't know, I'm an Arizona native. So, a winter like this is something I have never experienced before. Like, cold in Arizona is like 40 degrees. Like, that's amateur. So, I went to bed last week. I didn't turn on my heater.
Woo!
Bad idea. It was a bad idea. Because I woke up in the morning, I was shivering, I wanted to die, I did not want to move. So from now on, now I know, keep the heater on.
Anybody ever have their heat go out in their apartment?
Yeah.
My God, that shit will teach you something. It's funny because that experience is what made me hate camping. Even though it wasn't camping at all, I was like, I'm going to pass on this shit completely. I don't feel like wearing my hoodie and 3 layers of clothes to bed. So I respect that, Jake. But hey, man, you live and you learn.
Now we know.
That's the game. Okay, well, listen, everybody, thank you so much for sharing this week. I actually had a blast. I'm glad we do this. I appreciate all of you. Let's get to work. Let's have a good week. Let's stay warm and healthy. And we'll catch up with each other next week. All right, guys? Peace.